Welcome back to the show. My name is Alex Rankin, and it's great to be joined today by our first woman that we've been able to feature on our podcast here, the Next Gen Environment Leader. And today we're joined by Yadira Diaz, who's the CEO and founder of Gradible.co, has an incredible focus on looking at trying to ensure businesses get both a sustainability and an economic benefit from their activities. It's a very important focus, I think, to be able to ensure that the companies can look at environmental things just not as a cost, but actually as a way of generating income and getting good outcomes from the full suite of ESG outcomes that we're all striving to achieve. So, Yadira, thank you very much for taking the time to join us today. I really appreciate it. And I just wanted to start off by asking you to tell us a bit about yourself and how you've ended up founding Gradible and what your journey has looked like to get to this point.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex, for having me. It all started when I worked for Pepsi. And, they showed me this recycling plant at the warehouse. And I'm like, wow, Pepsi recycles. And then I kind of just crush it in sales and take over a sales route by the beach in San Diego, and then realized a couple years in that, wow, I'm selling plastic for a living. And that was kind of like my aha moment on, okay, how can I do better? How can I, reduce basically the waste that I basically was behind, in all the Pepsi that I sold to these accounts. And so I moved to Miami, and it was crazy because 15 years ago, I saw this documentary about the global landfill crisis. And then fast forward to Miami, I learned that we also had a landfill crisis. And I just couldn't believe that it was almost like a full circle moment. And so I kind of started looking into companies that existed in Miami that were doing the work around waste reduction. So I found a compost company, and I found a company that sold compostable food service packaging, and I basically reached out to those companies and asked them if I could be an independent contractor. And that's kind of how it started. And I just wanted to basically go out and sell their products and their services and make a commission. And when they both said yes, I kind of went down the rabbit hole of like, what other companies can I represent? How can I build a portfolio? And then we're this like one-stop shop for these sustainable solutions. And just recently, we hit the 250 mark. And so we've expanded beyond waste reduction. We're now getting into solutions around energy efficiency and water conservation. But the point is to basically be a marketplace of products, services, and technologies that reduce waste, energy, and water.
Fantastic. So you're finding the businesses first and then the clients, or the other way around?
So I had a huge focus on building the portfolio first. That way, if you needed something, we had it. And then if we didn't, we'd go out and find it. So now we have this incredible portfolio, and now we're engaging the businesses and showing them, what exists out there. And I always like to remind them that when you reduce waste, energy, and water, you save money, right? So really matchmaking them to these solutions that help reduce these utility bills, and then also reduces their environmental impact. That way it's a win-win. Has been really exciting, and there's interest, and it's been validated. So I'm really excited.
And you're finding that there's a lot of leads coming in from the client side of things, or is that changing over recent years?
Yeah, it's interesting. At first, I was kind of focused on hotels, and then realized there's a lot of movement as far as leadership, right? There's a huge problem with employee retention in the hotel industry, and then realized that if we had a lot of leadership movement, then we'd have to kind of pick up with the new person, put them up to speed. So then we kind of veered away from that, started working with music festivals. That was interesting. And then now we have this kind of focus around facilities, right? Because when you think about these big facilities like convention centers and hospitals and hotels, universities, they have crazy utility bills. Like they are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for each utility, waste, energy, and water. So really targeting those people that have the pain points of these crazy expensive bills and targeting those.
Great way of doing it, I think. And have you found that things have changed in terms of their interest? Or I know the political landscape in the US has altered over last year or so. Is that affecting people's willingness, or is it just more the bottom line that's really driving them to look at these types of services?
So when I first started, it was all about, we reduce your environmental impact, just like really using that messaging, because that's what I really care about. but then realizing that we got to talk people's language, right? And if we talk about the economic benefits of doing these things and kind of future proofing their businesses, that's been just the language that's been working and kind of hooking people. And yeah, I try not to think about the political side of things because, yeah, of course, we lost a lot of funding and nonprofits are like, struggling. And it's just this weird dynamic that we're all kind of having to adjust to. But I think when you kind of put your blinders up and you just focus on the mission, that like, especially really making the business case around the work that we do, right? Because, these utilities are only going to get more expensive. Energy is getting more expensive year over year. Water is going to start being priced accordingly, right, with the water crisis that we're facing globally. And then waste, same thing. As we run out of space for our trash, where are we going to put it? They're going to start charging us more the more you have of it. And so, yeah, I think just switching the dialogue and really talking about the business case around these solutions and how it benefits their bottom line, I think that's what really, gets the conversation going.
Great. And so what would you say is the single biggest operational challenge that your clients are facing when they're trying to integrate effective waste, energy or water solutions into their businesses?
Typically, it's kind of getting everyone on board, or limited staff or resources like funding. And that's kind of where we come in and find and see if there's any rebates on a local, state, or national level, any subsidies, any tax credits, just to kind of get as much external funding out there as possible. I mean, we've even had companies in our portfolio offer free pilots just to show, hey, we really mean it. We know this is going to work for you. And then at least there's like no cost, no risk at first. And then they see some savings and then we can use those savings for the next thing or the next year, So, yeah, I think operationally it's typically different things, right? Like every organization is going to look a little different, but these obstacles even are things that you can, find solutions for. So I don't take no for an answer. We figure it out.
That's a good way to do good business.
Yeah.
and very client focused solutions there. So you sound like you deal with a lot of data in terms of trying to be able to both generate information about potential savings, but also then do you have to go to the point of actually working out based on their current bills and utility usage? Do you do tailored solutions for them that shows them real life scenarios about what they could change, what they could save?
Yeah, so we like to bring a lot of value up front, right? Where we offer like a complimentary utility assessment and we take a look at their energy bills, their water bills for the last 12 months. But it really gives us an idea of like the pain, right? Like even one hotel here in South Beach, when we saw their water bills, my jaw dropped. They were paying over $100,000 every month on just water.
Wow.
Right. And so when you come with a solution, right, whether it's gray water recycling technology or a way to upgrade the toilets to being more efficient, these things are proven and they have case studies and they're, being used at maybe other hotels or other convention centers. So what we do is we basically say, hey, like this solution right here is a similar hotel is seeing 10% a reduction of their bills. That's $10,000 a month for you times 12 months times however many years. If you implement this now, my favorite terminology in the business world right now is cost of inaction, where, it's going to cost you more if you don't do this now, and then you don't get to reap the benefits. And so really, again, talking about the business case and other case studies and success stories around these solutions has really been able to help me get as much done.
Great. A lot of things you've just said there sound like they're perfect solutions for AI tools to help you to generate some of that data, do some of that analysis, and just really fast track or streamline some of that admin process that you go through to present those sorts of business cases and scenario modeling. So do you use any of those sorts of tools at the moment, or have you seen them used in any context?
Yeah. AI, I use AI every day for my business, right? And we have some solutions that are AI powered. Like we have an AI powered recycling assistant where it basically will scan what's in your hand and it'll tell you in what waste bin it goes, whether it's compost, reuse, garbage. And of course, that helps with cross-contamination and recycling efforts. We have an AI-powered energy, what is it called? How do I explain it? It's basically where it'll use AI to assess your energy use and find ways to improve it. And then next for us at Gradible is we're building basically a portal where you can access our marketplace. It's all at your fingertips, and we're going to have AI scan your utility bills that you upload. So then it will in real time tell you what each solution would do for your business as far as payback and savings. So I'm really excited about what AI is capable of doing, because when it's used for good, it really does make all the difference.
Yeah, if it's just providing that extra bit of information for people to help them get them over the line, and it also helps you deal with more clients, presumably, because you can provide a more efficient service to more people. So how are you finding that process? Have you tested some of the solutions, and how much is it saving you as a business time or effort?
Yeah, so our best case study was with a hotel, and they basically were, it was like a 2-year-old building. So it had, it was LEED certified, it, had LED lights, like it was built, pretty efficiently and in a smart way. But what they didn't have was the sustainability around their internal operations, from food and beverage to housekeeping, right? Yeah. And so it all started when I sat next to the general manager at a brunch, and he, talked to me about how he's helped other hotels internationally go zero waste. And I was like, wow, this is the guy that I need to work with. Yeah. So we formed a green team, and I always talk about how that made such a difference. It was just originally me, the general manager that I'd met, his executive assistant, and the director of operations. And we sat down for an hour every month, and we just kind of discussed like what was possible, what we could do for the hotel. And then literally week after week, we had like a new member. The director of engineering joined us, and then the director of marketing joined us, and the director of food and beverage, the executive chef, started joining us. And then it became this it was almost like not only did it create culture, obviously, because they were doing something good, but it was almost healthy competition too, because food and beverage would be like, oh, well, we just got reusable cups by the pool. Like, what are you doing, housekeeping? And housekeeping was like, well, we're upcycling our damaged towels into merchandise. Like, what are you doing, marketing? And he's like, well, we're getting a new webpage around sustainability on our website. And I just sat there in disbelief, like, wow, like this is it. This is where you get people in the right room, and you get the momentum going and the excitement. And in a matter of 6 months, we implemented, I think it was like 7 or 8 different initiatives that didn't really exist until we walked in the room. So it was great to see.
Fantastic. It sounds like you need to do a video on some of those journeys and share that out with other people to spread the story. How difficult is it to keep track of all the varying, I guess, local regulations and rules and incentive schemes and packages that are available? You've got full-time staff dealing with all of that?
Actually, our portal is going to have a way to search any rebates or incentives or even sponsorships on our portal. But, for me, I think I've just programmed my LinkedIn and my phone to basically just put this kind of information in front of me. Like, we found a subsidy that covers the cost of a restaurant or a school or a university to switch over to stainless steel reusable foodware. And it covers the entire cost. We have found rebates on a state level here where the state will cover half the system cost for you to implement gray water recycling, right? And so I know these incentives exist out there. It's just a matter of, looking for them. And I think with AI, it's going to be a game changer, right? Because it's so intuitive, it's so smart, and it's going to really help find that external funding needed.
Yeah, hopefully it'll go straight into your portal.
Right.
Which would be great.
Right.
And do you find it difficult, or is it the process you go through with your clients, just a discovery process, talking through with them about what might work best for them as a solution, or do you have particular criteria that you have to meet for?
So we typically start with like a discovery call, just, where are you? What are the challenges? What are the opportunities? Is there a budget for this? And then that's kind of what we use to start matchmaking to the solutions that we offer. If there's no funding, there's no budget, then we do have solutions in our portfolio that come at no cost or generate revenue. And so typically we'll start with something like that. But yeah, it really just depends on that discovery call, right? And it's hard too, because we can have this incredible marketplace, this portfolio of these incredible solutions, but we really need the buy-in from the organization that we're actually going to implement, right? Because obviously that's what matters. So the discovery call, of course, is really important because we can't just start showing them the solutions without really knowing where they stand.
Yeah, and individuals matter so much in that process, don't they? You can find in an organization you've got somebody who's incredibly committed and willing to do it, but then you run into a bottleneck with their manager or somebody else who just doesn't have the time or interest. And
Yeah,
yeah,
I've been through that a few times.
if you could solve just one major challenge today, wave a magic wand, that would really accelerate the trajectory of businesses being able to take up and these types of sustainability solutions, what would it be?
Honestly, I'd probably go back to just the waste crisis. I mean, there's just so many incredible solutions out there that could literally make people go net zero. Like, I know there's all these net zero goals, right? But I feel like people leave so much on the table when they're not doing the research that I'm telling you, the companies in our portfolio are the reason why I'm so inspired every day, is because of the technologies that are coming out, the solutions people are coming up with. And our waste crisis is just something that, I mean, there's predictions that in the US in the next 2 decades that we will run out of space for our trash in the next 20 years. And that's just terrifying to me because there's just so much, from like wildlife choking on plastic to, the health impacts of these microplastics in our waterways. Like, it's, and obviously pollution is pollution, like the greenhouse gases, the methane that comes from even food scraps being in landfills. Like, I think, to me, if I can just wave a magic wand, that I would get rid of all the waste and we would switch over to reuse, upcycling, repurposing, and just have that as our normal way of life.
Yeah, that's fascinating. One of the great things about doing this podcast is I get to talk to some of the businesses you're talking to, and some of the solutions that people are coming up with are incredibly, as you say, innovative, and it gives you hope for the future, which is amazing. One guy I spoke to a couple of days, he's a CEO of a company called Gradible. They take all soft plastics like bread food bags and dog food bags or whatever it is, and they can turn it into these amazing blocks that are used for reducing stormwater runoff. And so they've got this completely, all this awful stuff that's very hard to recycle. Nobody else has found the solution to recycling this product, but turning it again into a product that's also incredibly valuable for reducing water runoff. And when they've tried putting it into under roadways or under buildings, it has massive benefits in terms of reducing water. So it's a fantastic product and great solution.
That's a perfect
It's very
example.
exciting to hear.
That's great.
I really appreciate you sharing your insights today. It's been incredibly valuable for me to get your enthusiasm and to get a different perspective on how you're actually really connecting up businesses and clients. And it's a win-win for everybody involved, as well, including for achieving better outcomes for the environment through reducing waste and energy and water usage. So really appreciate you taking the time to join us today and sharing your experience and expertise. And I'll in the show notes for this podcast, I'll include all links to your resources if people want to connect with you directly. And it's been an absolute pleasure having you as a guest today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Alex. I
Thanks.
appreciate you.
Cheers.